welcome back. Pull up a seat, make a drink. We're back at my house. I think the last time we were out here, Abby, was what, end of July, 1st of August. You know, it might have been a little bit different than that. You know, that's been a while back. This is my personal property here, and I know we were at that time kind of taking you through some of the steps that I'd already done on this property, the recovery that I'd already seen in it from just how this yard was left, the state or the condition it was left in when we got the home. It was in pretty bad condition. The front yard, the first thing that it was dealing with that we'll address was the shade issues. So the first thing that I did when I moved into this house, and Abby, you know, she'll back up and be able to capture this here in a minute, is it has two huge live oaks here, right? Live oaks are great, beautiful trees. They live for a very long time, can present great shade for your house, actually give you a good outdoor environment for you to enjoy during the hot summer days, but they don't make great conditions for growing grass, i.e. the shade. Turf grasses don't grow, warm season turf grasses don't grow great underneath a lot of shade. So the first thing I did is I hired a tree trimmer to come out here, and they took off a lot of the canopy and the inner part of the tree. I think it helped out quite a bit. It got all of the grass, I would say, filled in all the way up to the bed line, in between the bed line of the tree beds to the bed line of the house. At that point in time last summer, I didn't trim up the crepe myrtles just because I thought it was a little bit too late in the year to trim up the crepe myrtles. I didn't want to put them going into the dormant period with any type of stress. Whether you're a believer in it or not, I did murder them coming out of dormancy this year. A lot of people aren't in the belief of taking their crepe myrtles basically down to the trunk or the lower part of the tree like I did here, but I had to do that so that way I could manage some of the growth on the crepe myrtle. They were getting way too up on the house, allowing, you know, it could allow pests and stuff to get up on your roof. Obviously, you know, just all that overhanging on your roof. You don't want that. It also impedes grass growth. So I took them down and I had them trim up the live oaks a little bit more. I knew that that wasn't going to encourage all of the Bermuda grass growth to fill in between the area of the house or the bed at the house and the tree bed. So I went ahead and I brought in a more shade tolerant turf grass. As you can tell, it's starting to root a little bit, or pretty much all the way. You can kind of still see it on the sod lines right where we sodded it. It's kind of still distinct, but we sodded this, I would say, it's been about a month and a half. I haven't even done the first cut on it yet. Obviously, we didn't put any pre-emergence in this area. As you know or don't know as a homeowner or a DIYer, pre-emergence are root inhibitors. So sod's gonna come with its own root mass, its own little microcosm area where it can grow in, but eventually those roots, they wanna penetrate, they wanna go deeper. And if there's a pre-emergent in the soil there, that pre-emergent base, those roots will start to club and they won't be able to form root mass with your existing soil, eventually killing the grass. So as a homeowner, if you're ever wanting to sod or seed, make sure that your lawn care company didn't put down a pre-emergent, or don't put down a pre-emergent prior to seeding or sodding, or even, you know, throughout the beginning, you know, I'd say 30, 60, 90 days as it's establishing a root system. Post-emergents are okay. Most post-emergents anyways, they're not gonna have any type of root effect, and they're only gonna do like a contact kill on the weeds. So I would just be spot treating weeds in this sod. So if I was a homeowner that sodded this spring, as I know, we didn't put a pre-emergent down on it. All we're gonna do on it is care for it with proper mowing, watering, a little bit of fertilizer, and spot treating for weeds. As soon as it forms the root mass over the summer, this upcoming fall, we'll be fine to put a pre-emergent on it. I just wanted to kind of hit on that because I know in the spring is typically when people are sodding lawns. Just make sure prior to doing that, you get with your lawn care company to make sure they didn't put down a pre-emergent first. So as you can tell, it's all coming in well. I selected a cultivar called Zeon Zoysia. Zeon Zoysia is a more shade tolerant turf. Hopefully with me keeping the trees trimmed up, as well as proper mowing and watering, it'll thrive in this area. As well, we kind of cleaned up the appearance of the house. Abby will get more of a, zoomed out picture of that. We redid the mulch, put in some landscaping like some hostas, some hydrangeas. I think those are sunshine hydrangeas. I don't know the exact name of them. We trimmed up the holly. So just to clean up the overall aesthetic appearance of the lawn. Right now, the lawn does need to be mowed. I'm probably on like the 10th day. We had a lot of rain this weekend. So hopefully you can forgive me on that. One thing that I did want to mention, right now we are May 21st today. We've been unseasonably cool, I would think, throughout the beginning of the summer, late spring. We've had a lot of rain, but the rain just subsided the end of last week. Now we're in the 90-degree temperatures. My lawn's already starting to dry out. I know it might be hard to pick it up in the camera. Right now, I'm watering 2 days a week. I'm watering on Mondays and Thursdays, but I'm only watering one time on that watering day. I'm watering once in the morning at roughly, I think, 5 a.m. for 15 minutes a zone on my pop-up spray heads. So what that's roughly giving me is a ½ inch of water a week. Right now, a ½ inch is about a half amount of the water that this lawn is gonna require to thrive. I know I need to up this water to at least 2 more start times on that Monday and Thursday and try to run it maybe at like 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. to give it that full inch. Right now, I would say throughout May and definitely middle of June, maybe even the end of June, just depending on the temperatures, an inch a week, subsidized when we're not getting rain, as long as your irrigation system is working efficiently, is gonna be more than enough. Next thing that we're gonna talk about, because I know we addressed this the last time we were here, is the Dallisgrass. So if you haven't seen it in the video yet, it's pretty apparent that I have a bunch of yellow dead spots in the lawn. So last year when I got into this lawn, it probably had 70, 80 clumps of Dallisgrass. D-A-L-L-I-S, not like the city, is a southern perennial warm season weed that's very invasive to, the south, and we struggle with it as a lawn care company. It is an invasive weed that we deal with every season in every home lawn. And whether it's just a clump or two, it's easy to get rid of. You can hand pull or spot treat it out with Roundup. I had, quite a bit in this lawn that I had to spot treat out with Roundup. I didn't want to dig it out since it wasn't just a clump or two. So unfortunately, it's gonna kill the surrounding turf. I use the product from Home Depot. I'll get it out here in a minute. Abby will show it in the video. It's actually still called Roundup, has the trade name. But the thing that we're looking for that you're probably worried about as a homeowner or a DIYer is the active ingredient, the glyphosate, which they don't sell that at Home Depot or Lowe's anymore. But Roundup does have a different active ingredient in it, and I think it's glufosinate, which is a different chemical mode of action that's still gonna give you the same results. And I think it works better than what I tried to use last year, which had, I think it was like maybe Bayer or maybe Spectracide made it, but it had diquat in it. And I think the diquat worked well on the Dallisgrass, but it did not give as good of a kill off as this glufosinate did. So as a homeowner, I know you can't get glyphosate anymore at Home Depot, Lowe's, or your big box stores. I'm sure you can still get it online or wherever your farm trade stores, like, or your farm tractor stores. But nonetheless, if you're going to Home Depot or Lowe's, I think that glufosinate and that Roundup works better. As you can tell, I only sprayed it once. It's probably been 8-9 days ago now, and I got some pretty good kill off on all of the Dallisgrass. I'm gonna do it one more time. Probably here in the next day or two, I'll spray it again. And with that, I think we should have pretty much eliminated all the Dallisgrass on this particular property. Now, I get like, hey, you're saying, hey, Brennan, what the heck's gonna happen here? It's just gonna have to recover over time, or I'm gonna have to resod it. I'm not gonna resod it as a homeowner. You're probably not gonna resod it. It will recover. It'll probably take the rest of this summer. Now, is it gonna recover if you're not mowing right? If you're not watering right? It won't. There's some things that Weedex can do. We have some different treatments. We call them our soil builder. It has some different products in there that can help the grass recover from certain situations like this, stressful situations. So I'll definitely probably be spraying those products on my lawn to help it recover quicker. But I just know, or we know here at Weedex, we've tried a lot of different selective products that they put on the market to kill invasive summer weeds like Dallisgrass, perennial summer tuft weeds, and they just don't work. The efficacy is not good. You're spending a lot of hard-earned money on something that you're not going to get the results on. So we have taken the decision over the last 4 or 5 years now that we've been using Roundup, or is what you would know it as, but the active ingredient is glyphosate. I just wanted to make sure that I touched base on that, as it is apparent in the lawn that was sprayed. But over time it will, over the rest of the summer it will recover. On the side yard here, we were struggling as well with some shade. So I have a goulash of different types of grasses in my lawn, or a smorgasbord is maybe the better word. Nonetheless, this is Palisade zoysia. So I have Palisade zoysia, I have Xeon zoysia, I have Bermuda. So it's just, I have the fortunate ability of to be able to put different grasses in my lawn to just kind of see what grows the best, so that way I can, you know, make best suggestions to homeowners. Like this over here, it's gonna have a little more drainage issues. I've struggled with St. Augustine growing here, and so I just wanted to try some Palisades and see how it does. It might not last. I'll bring you back here towards the middle end of the summer and we'll see how it looks, okay? The backyard, the last time we were here, I brought you over here to the side yard, and it was nothing but just scraggly grass, a little bit of Bermuda, you know, sprigs here or there, some nut sedge that was grown in that I was trying to control. But we knew that no grass was ever gonna grow here. And I talked to y'all about that because of the lack of sunlight. It also doesn't get very good drainage, so that turns into anaerobic soil. Basically, how you can tell that, you kind of get a black sheen on top of the soil, almost get like some moss growth on it. You know your soil's lacking in oxygen, it's becoming anaerobic, which isn't gonna allow any vegetation to grow there. So what's the easiest step on that? You hardscape it with river rock, right? So that way now my kids can come out here, and instead of making a mud mess, they can throw rocks everywhere, right? It's a good trade. So now instead of having muddy kids, I'll have broken windows. Also, I have my shed back here. I'm able to come back here and get my lawnmower equipment, not make a muddy mess, and be able to utilize a space that would otherwise not be able to be utilized, because again, any type of vegetation, landscape, turf grass is always gonna struggle here. So in these situations, we always recommend to homeowners that they just hardscape it. So last year I used a product, I think it was made by Spectracide, don't quote me on that, and it had diquat in there as the active ingredient. Abby can probably even get this where she can zoom in on the label. She'll look it up later and get you the label on that. But this year I decided to use, this is Bio Advanced Science Based by Solutions. I don't even know who makes this. Whatever, we'll get that later and put it in the description below. But I wanted to try a different active ingredient, so I tried glufosinate, like I mentioned earlier. I know it's a similar active ingredient or chemistry to glyphosate. So this is what I went with this year, and I feel like I've gotten better die off of that weed. With these right here, they're all gonna come pre-mixed, okay? They're gonna have a wand on them. You don't have to really do anything except open up the seal on the bottle, put the cap on. They already come with the batteries installed. I think you have to pull like a little paper tab to get the prongs of the batteries touching to the, you know, prongs, or where they're supposed to nonetheless. And then all you gotta do, I would recommend to kind of shake it up, and then you turn it on. It's like ready to go. So all I'm doing is coming over here to where the weeds were. Like again, I'm doing the second application this time. So even if it's hard to find where the weed is the second time because it's so well died off to the crown, you don't have to worry about it because you're just spraying in the areas that yellowed off from the previous spray. Just to make sure that we go ahead and get that weed, that invasive weed, whether like that's Dallisgrass, or I have this one little swath over here. This is King Ranch Blue Stem. And King Ranch Blue Stem is even more of a, I mean, it's an invasive grass. They're both invasive grass, but it's even hardier of a weed, and it's even more difficult to kill. So I definitely want to make sure I get that second application on that King Ranch Blue Stem, right? And then you can see areas like maybe last time, hey, I missed a little. It's pretty apparent because it's not yellow, right? So this is how I would recommend a homeowner do it. Obviously, it's gonna cause death to the surrounding turf grass. The other method would be to dig it out. Sometimes that can be hard to get the entire root system so it can grow back. The good news is if you care for this Bermuda properly, like I said, mowing and watering, it will recover.